If I am mad, it is mercy. May the gods pity the man who in his callousness can remain sane to the hideous end. H.P. Lovecraft. Have you ever had that one dream that perhaps it was a bit too lifelike? Perhaps some events in the dream in fact did happen to you in real life. Would you get a sense of deja vu? Would some people consider it a form of ESP? Foresight? A visionary? Well, what if these dreams were meant as a forewarning? A way to foreshadow your own fate? What would you say? How would you feel? Now, what if these dreams were to happen to you every time you slept? Would you lose yourself? Hello there, everybody. It's Asylum X Productions, and today we are going to be going over the Call of Cthulhu lore. Now, if you've been around my channel, you should know that I like my lore. I've done plenty of lore videos in fantasy settings, and I have no plan to stop that, even though I may be taking a rather long hiatus. Now, let's get into Cthulhu himself. Cthulhu is a very ancient being created by the famous author H.P. Lovecraft. Now, H.P. Lovecraft was a man of vivid nightmares, and Cthulhu happened to be the one at the center of all of them. Now, Cthulhu is an eldritch god, and his unique trait is to cause insanity, much like the rest of his kin, except he wants to do it on purpose. Now, Cthulhu can either do it directly or indirectly. If he does it directly, it's usually through a picture depicting him. But indirectly, it's usually done by his creations. Just merely looking at his creations or his book will induce insanity. But enough of that. Let's get more into the environment that Call of Cthulhu takes place in. You start the game off as Edward Pierce, a man who survived World War I in the Lost Battalion, one of his few survivors. He now works as a PI, or private investigator, and on a daily basis he drowns himself in whiskey and sleeping pills to deal with his constant nightmares. He can't explain them, but he believes that it is from the PTSD, and he's afraid of them. He's afraid of losing himself. Well, one morning after waking up from another nightmare, he is contacted by the father of Sarah Hawkins, one of the central characters to this little story. Now, Sarah Hawkins was a painter, but some would call her paintings mad. They said that she has a frail mental state, but apparently she has died in a fire, killing her husband, her, and her only son. But when the father comes in, he does not believe this. He believes that there's more that meets the eye. And he also includes a rather large cash sum. So Edward Pierce, needing to take on a job in order to stay hired on at his private investigator's office, he accepts it and goes to a location known as Darkwater, a land once rich. They would hunt whales and then proceed to sell the whale oil and meat to the mainland. But eventually, whale hunting was banned because, well, when you hunt almost all the whales out of the ocean, there tends to be a bit of an ecosystem issue. But turns out they no longer needed to hunt whales after the miraculous catch. But yet, for some reason, Darkwater still fell off the map, an island that most people have not heard of. To get to Darkwater, you need to use a boat. Now, when heading towards Darkwater Island, it will be a very thick layer of fog. Now, many sailors consider thick fog to be ominous, a sign of danger. But upon truly landing at Darkwater, upon looking around, something's off. And you can tell just by looking. The lighthouse light has a green hue to it, and many of the street lamps themselves give off a green light. Now, I don't know about you, but whale oil gives off more of a yellowish light. Now, once you get off the boat, you will thank a man named Captain Fitzroy. Now, he seems like a nice enough person at first. He's more than willing to give you a hand here, a hand there. But other than that, he doesn't really help you all that much. Now, it's pretty clear early on that there's a bit of a turf war going on. This turf war is between a woman named Kat and Captain Fitzroy. Although it's pretty clear that Kat has the upper hand, because she is ruthless, and she will not tolerate people like Captain Fitzroy. Now, as I said, something seems off. Well, when it comes to the miraculous catch, that's where everything is off. The miraculous catch was not a whale. Not a whale of any kind. The miraculous catch was the Leviathan. And for those of you that do not know, the Leviathan is the agent of Cthulhu. The Leviathan is the one that guides Cthulhu's chosen towards freeing him. Now, the Leviathan, well, yes, he was caught. He never died. Now, a few other early signs is the dead orca whale that has been pulled up ashore. Now, the sailors take this as another large omen. Orca whales have no known predators in these waters. So what could have killed the orca whales? Well, naturally, the Leviathan. And it's from this Leviathan that they get the oil to power these lamps that glow green. Unfortunately, to many, well, what would be many of these sailors' dismay, they ate the flesh of the creature that did this. Now, Leviathan plays a much bigger role than Cthulhu himself does. Now, the main part that Cthulhu plays is influencing a cult. Now, this cult is run by many members. One of them being a doctor at the local asylum. Now, this doctor has taken part in eating some of the Leviathan's flesh, and has found a way to transmute his conscience. So even if he dies, he's never truly dead, per se. Captain Fitzroy himself is part of this cult. He lets Kat into believing that she has the upper hand. But, in the end, it's all up to you. You can give in completely, or you can resist. You can resist Leviathan's words. You can resist the temptation to awaken Cthulhu. But if you awaken him, he will rise up, and everyone will lose their sanity. Now, you can refuse to do the ritual and perform the counter ritual. This, in a small sense, will reverse time. Although, by reversing the time, all you do is delay the inevitable. You end up back in the asylum, the basement, straitjacketed and locked in a chamber, probably to be forgotten. But now let's go back to an earlier point. Sarah Hawkins. Well, Sarah Hawkins did not die in that fire. Her son did, though, and her husband was severely burnt. But her husband was also a part of the cult, and unlike many other cult members, he had undergone severe mutations. And these mutations were drastic. One of his arms consisted of just tentacles, while his face had begun to change as well. One of his eyes consisted of Cthulhu's eyes. In every sense, he was becoming an avatar of Cthulhu. But in his eyes, he was doing it all to protect his most precious wife. Now, Sarah Hawkins, being at the center of the story, of course plays a major role. She was in the doctor's basement as well, being experimented on. Because her mind is unique. Being a creative artist, Cthulhu contacted her, because apparently contacting the creative minds is the easiest, and sometimes the most influential. So by doing so, he had her make a painting. Now, unbewittingly, when she painted this painting, she released a creature known as the Shambler. Now, the Shambler is an interdimensional hunter, and it's nearly indestructible. And with no known way to kill it in our world, all we can do is hold it off at bay until we can banish it back. Edward Pierce does this once, and he forces it back into the painting, nearly causing his own life to end. Now, Sarah Hawkins does the exact same thing, but upon permanently banishing the Shambler, Cthulhu calls out to her yet again. The great dreamer pulls her in, and she loses control of herself. She becomes the cult's oracle. She's at the point where she can foresee a future, but only short distance time. She can't foresee anything past the point of you, the truth seeker. In the end, you are the one that decides the fate of man. Anyways, this has been the Asylum X Productions. Ooh, almost said my old name. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a little bit of like, subscribe. That'd be nice. And I hope to see you all next time. And one last little bit of information that might be nice for you. There are two places where you should follow me. You should follow me over on Twitter, and you should totally follow me and friend me here on PlayStation. That's where I do all my recording, in-game gaming, and editing for right now. I do have a PlayStation community, and I'll be posting when I'm going to be uploading videos there, as well as on my Twitter. And I'll throw my Twitter handle up. My Twitter handle up on screen, along with my PSN. So that way it's just that much easier to come find me. If I feel like it, I'll throw a link to my Twitter down below. But anyway, I want you to have a nice day now.